Hello, welcome to Woodwater. I'm Ernest Hall. This is my first video I'll be making. The first one I posted was an introductory video and I filmed it wrong. I filmed it up, straight up. I guess they call that selfie mode. I'm not really sure, but I read that you're supposed to film it in landscape, so hopefully this will be a lot better and will show up in HD. And the sound should be better. I got myself a little mic right here, so hopefully that works out too. I'm still figuring everything out, not really sure what you're allowed to do with YouTube and what you're not allowed to do with YouTube. I'm going to be making I'm making 2 resins today, resin pours for the small round essential oil holders. I'm going to show you a little bit of tips that I do. I've been doing this for 2 years, so I'm by far not a professional at this. I just have some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years that work for me. I mean, I'm not working with a large shop, so I kind of bought a lot of equipment, sold a lot of equipment. I've used larger pieces of equipment. They didn't work for me, so I immediately sold them. I have it pretty basic right now. What I am using, if I don't use it within a month, I sell it because it's not worth having it in the way. And I mean, there's a few items that are a must-have when you're working with resin. There's other things that you don't really have to have. So the first piece of equipment that is essential in doing this is a pressure pot. I started off with a small one, moved to this larger one. I'll try to link it in the description. If you're interested, I bought it right off of Amazon. This is a must. This is what takes all the air out of the resin. I don't care how good you are, if you free pour it and just let it set, you're going to have air in it. So you need to convert this to hold the air as a pressure pot, and there's amazing videos that I'm not going to post, but you can go find them. It's a little piece just in case the resin drips out. I just keep that in there. Just a safety precaution. But there are videos to convert this to a pressure pot, because when you buy it, it's made to spray paint and you don't want it for that. So I mean, mainly this one is really ready to go. You just have to kind of seal this off so no air leaks and it holds pressure. Goes to about safely 50 psi. It's really all I ever use it for, but it works great. Okay, how this works and why this is crucial to your resin business. You mix your resin up as best you can without creating a lot of air bubbles. That is pretty major. And then right before you put it in here, you want to blowtorch the top, pop any air bubbles that might be on the surface, put it in this pressure pot, seal it up, all 4, nice and tight. Hook up a compressor right to here, make sure your valves are closed, and then you want to pressurize it all the way up to 50. I do 50, some people do 40, some people go way beyond 50. I don't feel too safe, and I feel like 50 does the trick. Now what that does is it doesn't actually get rid of the air. What it does is pressurizes inside to 50 psi, and it creates that air to go smaller and smaller to where you can't see it by the naked eye. And that's what you want. Okay, so I have my molds made for my 2 small round wood holders. This comes to my first tip. This is probably the best tip I'll ever have, and I have never seen anyone use this. I've watched a lot of resin videos and I've not seen this used yet as a mold. It is just parchment paper. Resin will not stick to parchment paper. It's your best friend. I use it for free molds like no other, especially these small ones. It's perfect. Rubber bands work great. Any kind of parchment paper. I don't think I'm allowed to show the brand, but just doesn't matter. Brand name, store-bought, store brand name, doesn't matter at all. Just parchment paper. Once this is done, I'll show you when it's done. It just peels right off. You're good to go. You can just start sanding. You don't have to peel it off this mold. You don't have to ruin any molds. You don't have to use any kind of crazy certain sprays that cost $1 million. Parchment paper. All right, so let's talk resin. I use two different types. I have Pro Marine, which is what I use for essential oil holders, any kind of tabletop project. I will use Pro Marine. It's a great product. It has a very long open time. I can mix this 20 minutes later. I'm pouring it without any fear of it setting up. Great clarity. Polish is amazing. Drills like butter. Great. Sister product of that, owned by the same company, is Alumilite. This is the best resin I've ever used in my life. It is amazing. It's a little bit more pricier than the Pro Marine, but it's worth every penny. It's who I'm an affiliate with. I have a code, Woodwater10, and you'll save 10% with Alumilite. I have that in the bio. I'll post it on every video. This is what I use for pen blanks, pipe stems. It's great for turning. The clarity is amazing. This is the slow, and it still only has a 12-minute open time. So once you mix this, you have to know what you're going to do with it. You have to have your colors in there and ready to go in the pressure pot, because it will start setting up very quickly. But it is superior resin. Great. One thing I forgot to mention about these differences in resins is the Pro Marine, you have to do it by ounces. So by, like, you pour 2 ounces, it's equal parts. So 2 ounces of A, 2 ounces of B. The Alumilite you have to weigh. So it's definitely more of a precise product. With these resins, I always do the hardener first, because it is definitely easier, more water-like. That way the thicker part is going to mix a lot easier. So as close as you can, you want to get equal parts, and then slowly stir. You don't want to introduce a lot of air into this. It'll start to get a little bit cloudy, and then it'll go back to clear. This tabletop epoxy will anyway. So you want to get the sides. Make sure you incorporate it really well. Got a lot of air in there, but I'm going to let this sit for probably about 10 to 15 minutes so that air will come up to the top. And then I need to make a dark midnight blue, dark sky blue I'm calling it. So I always use Black Diamond pigments. It's a great product. Never had any issues with it, so that's what I stick with. Every time you add something, you want to definitely make sure you are incorporating it into the resin. You don't want clumps of anything. Again, get those sides. You don't want like a big, huge chunk of black in there, or blue, or a clear spot, or glitter. If you're adding glitter, you don't want like a huge glob of glitter and then everything else is just clear. So that is good to go. See if I can see that. Okay, so I poured the resin in the molds. They've been in there for about 10 minutes now, and you can see the air bubbles on the top will rise. Just hit it with a low blowtorch action right there. It'll just pop all those surface bubbles. And then you want to take these very carefully, place them in your pressure pot. Just like that. line the lid up. A little hard with one hand. Tighten it up, and then we'll compress it with air. All right, so we're just going to pressurize that up to 50. About 5 hours. You can take them out if you want to. Usually I get a late start and I just let them go overnight. Also depends on the weather. It's hot summer here in Tennessee, so 4 hours honestly these will be done, but I let them go 5 just to make sure. Humidity has a big deal and effect with these also. If you're putting a lot of humidity in the pressure pot, that's not a good thing. So you want to make sure it's not a very humid day. You want to make sure it's at least like 60-70 degrees. If not, try to shut your shop up and heat your shop up before you put it in the pressure pot. And if it's colder, then it's going to take longer. That's all there is to it. So these will go in probably overnight, and we'll see what they look like when they're out. Cool. Okay, I'm actually going to leave those in overnight. I forgot I already had a midnight blue one already made, midnight sky, so I'm going to take that out of the mold and show you how it comes out of the mold. So just cut the tape, parchment paper, just peel right off, just like that. So you can see, have the wood, try to get that to focus, and the resin. Since I had a nice tight seal with the rubber bands and everything, resin didn't even leak down to the bottom of the mold. Perfect top. Just have to sand the sides down to a fine grit, polish it, drill it, good to go. Alright, thanks for watching. That's all I got today, and hope to see you soon.